watching Morning at NTV.
Morning at NTV, we're live from Kampala's Serena Conference Center. I'm Andrew Chamagero Omontuawensi. Now today, members of the 11th Parliament will start swearing in for their 5th year term. A few kilometers away in NTV, the party ruling as political bureau or the executive committee will be sitting to determine who among its members, Rebecca Daga and Jacob Olanya, becomes a Speaker of Parliament. Now, a decision likely to split Parliament right in the middle. Joining us for this conversation, we have, later we'll have the former presidential candidate, Joseph Kabuleta, and we have an NRM steward, Mr. Honorable Mike Sebalu. Good morning, Honorable Sebalu.
Yeah, good morning, my brother. If maybe you allow your permission, I can
please, yes.
We
are very safe.
We have social distance. So good morning to all our viewers and all those that are following on any other platforms associated with this media house. And I wish you an eventful week. And let's see what happens. We're having our leaders take their oath to start their tour of duty as leaders in respective areas.
I'll start from, everyone is asking about the battles currently going on in the NRM. The battle lines are drawn. Does it matter who becomes a speaker? In this political dispensation, the president says they have the capacity to stop anyone in parliament. Does it matter to become a speaker of parliament anyway? Yeah,
definitely it does matter, because Parliament is one of the arms of government, and the Parliament is very instrumental in facilitating the implementation of the manifesto, because those promises that are contained in the manifesto have to get policy kind of support, and many of them may need relevant legislation to give legal effect to those. So it is important to have leadership in Parliament in order to balance the service delivery.
But having leadership that is a puppet to the executive, isn't it a little bit alarming if those institutions that should be independent and they can stand alone, but here they are, they're running on the tune of a particular owner of the piper or the one who has the money? Isn't that against democracy we're looking at?
Yeah, the beauty is that we are talking about multi-party democracy. And multi-party democracy entails that you have a party in leadership, and once you have majority of MPs in Parliament, then you have opportunity to offer leadership to Parliament. So as a party, it is of interest to ensure that you have leadership that can deliver on your mandate. So having a leader in Parliament is critical, and any party in power would definitely ensure that they take interest in who leads that arm of government. So it's not just puppet or anything, but it's
the party structures and leadership.
Party structures to offer leadership, because you have leadership at the executive, and like I told you, laws and policy directions are shaped in Parliament, so you need to have leadership there that can support your service delivery, engagements across the country.
Well, that is a conversation we are having. You and I can be a part of this. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. Let me talk to my colleague Stephen Mbide, wherever you are today. I know the traffic is horrendous because you're having the graduations at the same time you're having the Member of Parliament elected swearing in. What is the situation like on your route?
Yes, indeed. Good morning to you, Andrew Chamagero. For those people who have been used to using this Siad Barre Avenue, coming off the Ginger Road, connecting towards the Parliament or National Theatre, and then towards the other side of Serena International Conference Center, just know that today is not the usual day, because if you're watching us from home or if you're on the way watching us using any of the social media platforms, just know that today is a special day for the 526 newly newly elected members of parliament, because today they kick off the swearing-in ceremony, and this is not an ordinary day for these VIPs, and that is why these roads that are surrounding the parliament building are all sealed off. Starting off from Ginger Road, if you're coming from Ginger Road trying to connect towards this Siadbara Avenue, these traffic officers there are going to be diverting you to connect towards the Winton Road, and then from there you'll be hitting the Yusufre Road, then you'll be joining the Nile Avenue around the UBC side, the Crescent Towers, and then you'll be proceeding either to Huntington Road or to join the rest of the Nile Avenue. And if you know you've been going towards any of the buildings that are around the Parliament Avenue here, still the same situation. Roads are all sealed off for non-motorized transport, unless you are amongst those VIPs. I'm talking about the newly elected members of parliament, and of course one of those those who are going to be sworn in today is also the Speaker of the 10th Parliament, who is also vying for the same position in the 11th Parliament, Aritwala Rebecca Kadaga. She's one of those who are going to be sworn in today, because they're going to be following alphabetic order from A to all those who are following up to the last number, that last letter, that is Z, till Thursday they will be sworn in from today. But also those who are trying to connect towards the Chimathi Avenue, still that road that connects from Bowman House, joining the Christ the King Church, is also sealed off. You cannot cross to or from Chimathi Avenue. If you're also driving off Ginger Road using the King George Road or King George Way, that is also near the petrol service station, is also closed off. You cannot use it for now. So basically, just avoid all the roads that are surrounding Parliament Avenue for now, because access is limited and you'll be diverted and also be delayed on your journey. This is what's happening here on the streets that are surrounding the Parliament Avenue. I'll be handing you back to Andrew Chamagero, and I will be back later on with the issues that are surrounding the graduation at Mackay University. This is what's happening here. Back to you, Andrew.
There, please stay safe, keep your mask on, and make sure that you actually stay away from the spots that are traffic prone this early morning. We are joined by the former presidential candidate Joseph Kabuleta. Good morning, Your Excellency. You see, the moment you go in that race, you are an excellency. It's already in there.
I am not complaining.
Very much so.
Good morning.
Mr. Kabuleta, good to see you again. Now, we are having a very contentious issue this week. And today, the sake of the NRM is sitting to determine who is their speaker. And on different platforms, we've had the president saying that Parliament has anything. We can block anyone in Parliament. Then it brings a question, does it matter who is the Speaker of Parliament then?
It does. It does. That's why he's so interested in it. It even matters who is Deputy Speaker. Remember, the previous election in 2016, he went and sat in Parliament for hours.
When the voting was
going on, and he was taking calls, and he was there, and he was running other business, but he had to be there, and it was for Deputy Speaker.
Was that
that's where the contention was. Now, if the Deputy Speaker is that important, that he has to sit there and make sure that his money is well appropriated, and people didn't choose transport money.
What do you mean by money, Mr. Kabuleta? I don't want
that's what happens. The first election of Speaker is very important. And of course, there's been a bit of contentions in the run-up, at least towards the end of the 10th Parliament. There was the issue of the COVID, remember, take back the 20 million, then now having taken it back, then the Speaker swears,
I'm not taking back anything.
Then a few people were, so there was almost two centers of power created there. And the truth is, the president is not used to two centers of power. It's supposed to be three. Yes, that's the executive, judiciary, and then and then Parliament. But he's not used to that. He's used to the executive bossing everybody. So that was a bit of a kick in the back. That Kadaga insisted on one way, called a press conference, said we have appropriated a lot of money to be used in government and so on. Budgets that we do not even know about, that we passed. Why can't 10 billion shillings be given to members of Parliament? Now that was done, and of course 40 billion, twice the amount, was released. So I thought it was about power games. It wasn't so much the 10 billion. They could afford that, clearly, because eventually they gave the same MPs.
Money,
So it was about power games there. And there's been a lot of that. If you speak to Kadaga's supporters in Kamuli, they will tell you that somebody was fronted to bring her down from that place. Oh. And the person was apparently fronted by the president. That's what they will tell you. Whether
so the intrigue was heavy.
Yeah, it is. And the NRM have the numbers. Whether all the numbers are going to listen to the man at the top is a totally different issue. Because for my interaction with some of them, she has a lot of support from outside of the NRM. Yes, she does, because they are seeing the alternatives. And I think she's that bit of kick here and there, and apparent show of independence, and she can stand my own ground, has kind of helped her among the independents and the opposition. So I think he would have to really do a lot if he wants to bring her down. It's not even so sure he wants to, but if he does, she's not going to be that easy. And if he tries to and fails, then we are in for a very interesting 5 years. 5 years in parliament.
Honorable, he alludes to something like money being paid, the parliament being used as a pointing stick for whatever needs to be done as long as they're paid off. Let's talk about the campaigning model. It has never been in the history of this country that people campaign with materials like pen, like t-shirts, like this has all been heated up. Honorable, how did we get here, and how did you get here as a party?
No, I don't think it is just a party issue. I think it is maybe the stakes have gone up to the individuals.
By stakes, you mean?
The stakes, you know, someone wants that office.
Power.
Someone wants the office. And at all odds, someone may want to make their way in that office. That can best be explained by the circumstances, because the two have been there playing different roles, one being the principal and another being the deputy. But you also have to look at the background. How did they get there? The previous election again pitted the two in the same race, and there was some negotiated settlement at the end of the day, and that had relations with the previous one. You remember when Edward Chwanka Sekandi was Speaker, after doing 10 years of presiding over Parliament as Speaker, he wanted to continue rendering service at that level. And Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, who was deputy then, also was interested in the office. And the main argument at the center of that electoral process then was that 10 years should be good enough for someone serving as a speaker. Thereafter, maybe another could take
good thing you used the word then.
And Kadaga had done 10 years as deputy.
Yes.
So you look at this scenario. No, I'm just building a scenario that what pertained then is what is pertaining now. In terms of the issues surrounding the debate and jostling for that position. So being the case, what applied then ordinarily would apply today. But someone is like, no, what applied then may not necessarily apply. So that's what 2016. That's what raises the stakes. I'm trying to bring why the stakes are going high. Because this one is like, but the other time we handled it this way and it benefited you. The same handling should be allowed to be applied this time around, and I'm the one to benefit. And someone is like, no, what applied then may not necessarily apply now. So then the dynamics, it creates heat. So there are those for, there are those against, there are those for Kadaga, there are those for Lanya. So that's how the stakes get upped up, and the dynamics at play what they are because of that background.
You've alluded that a couple of settlements were made within the NRM in 2016, and the Jacobo Lanya camp has insisted that there was a gentleman's agreement. We get to 2021, Kadaga, you arrest, and then we'll take it up. Jacob seems to be like a man who follows this gentleman's agreement. The same agreement he had with his chairman about Samengola when he was vying for the vice chairperson of North. They had a meeting in Nambole and the president said, we have agreed on this, you're not going to run. Jacob stepped down. Why does your chairman interfere with such kind of things?
First of all, what you are saying is what I've stated. Maybe we are using different words.
Yes, but I'm still wondering, why is your chairman micromanaging?
No, it's not micromanaging. You know, the chairman is the overall team leader.
Can he let the teams play?
And he's not interfering, he's only guiding.
So you mean the teams don't have leadership? That's enough to lead them, to guide themselves?
You see that.
At his level, he should give oversight. That's what I think.
But that oversight can be done in guidance. What do you call oversight? It could be guidance, it could be advice, it could be allowing people a conversation. That's why whenever these issues have come up, he's been able to get the two protagonists to a discussion, a conversation, trying to build consensus. You know, in the game of determining leadership, you need to apply different levels of engagement. The best case scenario is consensus. Once you generate consensus and people appreciate, and that is what happened the other time. Some form of consensus was built, and there was good agreement that later Rebecca carried the day. So he tries always, he explores all opportunities to arrive at consensus, and where consensus is not forthcoming, then you apply other levels of engagement.
As chairman.
Other levels of engagement, using the actors themselves, but the organization.
And the resources at hand.
Mr. Kabuleta. Mr. Kabuleta. I know, I love what he has used.
This is where he was going.
Resources.
Even himself, he would get to a point where he needs to give oversight, where he needs to give guidance at the end of the day, as the leader, as the team leader. And that word is important, team leader.
Team leader. Mr. Kabuleta, what do you make of the president, you know, getting engaged at all levels of decisions that have to be made? Gentleman agreement, every time Jacob Olanya goes for these gentleman agreements, and he keeps saying, it's okay, I'll wait for my time. And when those days come, things change, the dynamics change.
Now, first of all, I have a real problem with people making a case for a position based not on competence, but it's my time.
Nice.
You understand?
Because
if it's a competition, it can't be your time. It can only be, it's only your time when you've won the competition, as it should be. So now if Adaga was stating that he should move from deputy to speaker, she could have made that argument purely based on merit. And there's nobody saying she's been a bad speaker.
Yes.
I think she's really she's been a good speaker.
Yes, she has played a part.
Yes. Now, if she had made her case based on merit, nobody would be reminding her that she's done 10 years. She would be saying, have I diminished in merit? Aren't I still the same speaker? Don't you expect me to continue being the same speaker? Now, those things of, so that's a problem in itself, first of all. And then as he's saying, you know, the truth is, it's important for the president to determine these positions. And he's shown it so much before, because parliament can cause quite something. And there's always going to be, because first of all, remember, there's a lot of money that has to be taken and appropriated by parliament. And money, of course, is the major interest of this regime. And so he wants somebody who is going to go and put, you know, everything that they want, you know, the budgets and so on, supplementary budgets for this, for that, the other, and so on, where the numbers come in and play. But the speaker, if a speaker is hostile, even with a majority in parliament, it can be a very rough ride. We
saw that in South Africa, I think.
Yeah, we did, yes, thank you very much. Where you seem to appear to have the majority, but you have one speaker who seems to be hostile. And she or he can cause all sorts of things. Now, of course, so many people, you know, Deputy Speaker Olanya has been telling people how people think the president tells me I want this and that, it's not that way, and so on. So he has to state a case, make a case for his independence. And that has not been very easy. To be honest with you, speaking to so many members of parliament, some many of them fresh in parliament, it has been the perception, and you know how powerful perceptions can be, is that I mean, when the president wants something, and Olanya is the speaker, it's just a call away. And it's going to happen. That is perception. I'm not saying it is reality.
I love
because
that.
I've had him.
Perception.
And perceptions are so difficult to break sometimes.
Indeed.
And I've had him stating how that is not the case. Actually, in different fora, including here in this station, yes, stating how that's not the case. Now it is up to him to convince people that everything they've known about him was not true. And
so that's the competence issue.
That's the competence issue. And now when he makes a case for his speakership based on competence, nobody is going to be reminding him about term limits, which do not exist in speakership. And which should not exist in speakership, and, which is different, of course, from the presidency. So then even if 10 years is the speaker, nobody is going to be telling you, hey, come on, gentleman's agreement. And that's a problem in itself, because it is perceived by everybody that he's deputy speaker because the president came and sat in parliament. There was supposed to be a serious challenge for Honorable Nsereko, remember?
Yes.
And it was a serious enough challenge to cause chaos,
yes,
and so many people are going this way, the other way. People are threatening, and even those. And that's the interesting thing about parliament, because people want money, and they know who has the money.
Yes.
So when they know what the man who has the money wants,
they go to the side.
They say, no, we are not going to until he cuts a piece of the cake, then eventually vote what he wanted. But they make it a difficult negotiation, if you know what I mean.
Therein, Your Excellency Kabuleta, given that you're the president, you had gone through, hypothetically, you had gone through, how would you handle this situation?
He's in that caucus.
I know you're in that caucus. Now you're the president, you have this race, and it's all as heated as it is. How best would you navigate through?
The word you use, which he tried to deny, is very true. It's
micromanagement.
Micromanagement. You don't have to do that, especially if you have a huge 337 MPs. You do not have to micromanage which of them becomes speaker. You just have to tell your people that we have an interest as a party, and
we'll lobby for that.
We'll lobby for that, and let's choose one of us. Now, who among us, because both of them are in the same camp, who among us, you should leave that to them, and for them to go and state their cases based on competence and so on, and all the other things that they do, lobby and so on. But if he wants to micromanage everything, as of course has been the nature of his presidency, every simple thing he is micromanaging. Everywhere he has an interest, he's micromanaging. But you see now that makes, and you see, that's the whole thing, because the independence of it is lost, even in the minds of people. So eventually, people just see that.
So you just let the process go as it is without interfering. We just tell them party principle. We need someone who will understand our agenda and mandate, and we get that person. And you do your other duties.
Yes, because you have 337 MPs.
It's not on a president.
No. I think that is how my brother Excellency Kabuleta would handle it.
Yes.
But I think you need to appreciate the processes within the party, because the NRM constitution has it that such strategic leadership positions have to go through a process that involves the Central Executive Committee. That's why they are.
Do we have favoritism there?
That's why we have that in place today. It's going to meet, and the party leader happens to be the chairman
and
of the Central Executive Committee and the president. So when he presides over a meeting of the Central Executive Committee to lay out modalities of arriving at who is going to be the president, I would ask them to imagine that that is micromanagement, because the process is there and is mandated to do that. And what is happening now, which we should appreciate, is that two individuals at an individual level have expressed interest. But at the end of the day, it is the party to determine.
Wow.
The party has even powers to say the two of you have expressed, but maybe we don't have interest in you at this point in time to lead the parliament.
Okay.
The party can interest other individuals.
Does that depend on the resources at hand?
No. It depends on what the party envisages and the kind of personality the party
and are the NRM
to
MPs
take charge of parliament. So that is the procedure.
Okay.
So what
are the NRM MPs duty bound to go with the position of the party on who should be speaker? Even if there could be 5, let's say choices, all of whom are in the NRM party. So are the NRM MPs duty bound to say, now this is the one whom the SEC decided?
Regardless.
So regardless of what we think about him or her, we have to vote that person. Is that how it is?
No, yes, because what I want you to know, what I want you to appreciate is that the SEC is akin of a structure that does primaries.
Okay.
So in the SEC, you get many people interested, and the outcome of SEC provides the candidate because it is akin of a primary level. Just like when you go 5 of you and the people in primaries say you are the candidate. So that is what happens in SEC.
But a point of departure. Primaries involve elections.
Indeed.
SEC involves a selection by one person, and we've seen that. Who is going to be NRM?
Consensus.
Let me tell you.
He's an expert.
Let him finalize.
No, I'm not an expert, but I know what has come out of there.
Yes.
For instance, you remember 5 years ago, there was, Charigonza wanted to be vice chairman.
Yes, I remember.
And then there was Odrek.
Yes.
And then you know what happened.
I remember the statement. You've not been even an LC.
Yeah, and forget about that, but the consensus.
Yes.
Now, if that had been let to go to vote, then you say that that's a primary. But then when some people, somebody wants to be vice chairman, and then they say, no, you stand down.
There is a seniority
There is a seniority, stand down for the other one, and what? That's not a primary. A primary is an election. And it is an election within the party for some
the procedures,
and if the people choose this is the person to represent our party, that's it. Now this one is different. It's totally a selection.
Double standards in the NRM.
I think my brother I respect his
view. Indeed.
But in election, in all electoral processes, the first point of call is consensus. Where consensus emerges, you don't have to go into the voting bit. And that is the first point
that is
of
his
call.
problem.
And that's what pertains.
That's the problem. Can we reach a consensus without the chairman being among us as a team? Like you say, team leaders.
Then what is your problem? Then that is not a team. A team must have a leader. And the team leader must participate.
But the leader has
why
deputies
do you disenfranchise the team leader?
No, that's not what we are saying. That's not what we are saying.
Because he's saying, why should the leader participate?
No, the leader should participate.
Because then the team is incomplete.
I'm looking at him micromanaging every process for his better need.
And asking people to stand down in favor of others. That's what I have a problem with.
You insisted on the word micromanaging,
yes.
which I totally disagree because it is a process and it is engaging different actors. He doesn't sit in his state house alone and says that a meeting is called. Today, SEC is sitting as a meeting and presiding over it, and the outcome of the same should be attributed to SEC, not the individual.
2016, he's seated in parliament, he's doing other duties as a president, but his presence, was it a good gesture from you? Okay, now you're looking at him as a chairman. Was it a good gesture or was it an intimidating gesture, like whoever took these resources, I want to hear the I here?
No, I wouldn't want to stretch it to intimidation. He simply got interested and came to oversee the exercise.
In a combat?
Yeah, no, he was not even in a combat. He was in his suit. And he was in his suit.
But the thing is
just to see, and that corroboration is helpful.
Let me ask you a question.
Getting interested.
What would you think if the Speaker of Parliament said that she has an interest in cabinet and what cabinet decides, and she decides to go and sit there when the cabinet is deciding, which is the arm of the executive.
Oh, yes.
And she says, I'm just here as an observer to see what people decide. How would that work out?
You see the two play at different levels. One thing we need to appreciate, and this is what you are going to be. You are going to be the chief executive of the country.
At all levels.
So when you are chief executive, you have liberty to interact with the different actors in a manner that is in a reciprocal way. But now for you to cause your interest upwards may not necessarily be the same.
Let's talk about
because for the speaker now to go into the executive, it would be
but in a multi-party democracy, these are three different arms.
But you see, there are these different arms. That's why where you need to appreciate how these operate. Look at the electoral process. The president, let me make this point. The president, my brother, was going to be, or would have been if the Ugandans had decided so. He's the only person with the covenant with the entire population, with the entire. Now the speaker is going to get mandate from, it is going to be delegated mandate. The people of Uganda are going to vote for her through MPs. The president is directly, so he's answerable and he's accountable.
I don't object that.
Let me paraphrase one question here. Yes. What would you think if, let's say, there is a huge court decision that can determine, let's say, something to do with the presidency, let's say the age limit and something like that, somebody has, and there's a huge court decision, and the 9 justices are seated, and then the president comes and says, well, I've just taken an interest, I'm here as an observer.
Will they do a due diligence?
What would you think of that? Would that be seen as him being just an observer?
Or an intimidating
factor?
No, that would be interpreted differently. He's coming to determine a case where he's involved.
Yes.
But now the president was not in parliament to determine something like that.
Okay, let's look at this.
If he had gone and it is about him,
the issue of presidents interfering or sabotaging processes, it's something in the region we know. Uhuru Kenyatta in Kenya, he got 40 names. 40 names of those of who could be the Chief Justice. He kept saying, this one I've not allowed, without giving clarification, without giving anything. And it's the same the chairperson is doing. He sits and amicably agrees with the people, you step down for another person, yet the process says, let the best person emerge. That's where we have the problem. But going forward...
but I think there's no problem at all, because determining who a leader is, there are many things. You know, there's competence. That comes first.
Can't you allow people just compete?
No.
On grounds of
there's competence. But do you know that there's also suitability? Have you seen a situation where people go in an interview and the best person is not appointed? On other issues could be suitability of that office, but the competence is there. So getting someone into a leadership position is dependent upon many factors. So when you have that kind of discussion and conversation, you are looking at all those aspects.
Okay. Yeah. Honorable Kabuleta, this is a conversation, by the way. You can join online. On Twitter, it's Morning at NTV. That's the hashtag. And on Twitter, it's the same. Facebook, the same. And on Instagram, I'll tap your feedback a little later and respond to this. Kabuleta, we are having a parliament, the 11th parliament, with the opposition party, the biggest bloc, with a nascent leader of sorts. And we are having a parliament of very young tucks and all. And the leader of opposition, it's a secret that is being kept by whoever knows, so I'm sure it is not even in Kamuj, somewhere maybe in Magede. What do you make of this parliament, looking at all the factors and all the MPs that have been voted into?
First of all, it's going to be a difficult parliament because it has so many new people, so many younger people, and that's becoming a factor of all our politics. The people elected into office are getting younger and younger every 5-year cycle. But also it's going to be important that the party with the lead in the opposition, the National Unity Platform, galvanizes all the other opposition parties. and brings them together and somehow exercises a leadership role over them, and makes them almost, let's say, pull in the same direction. And that can be done in so many different ways, because of course there's going to be leadership of committees and so on, and you can throw all these arms to other parties, you know, as FDC actually kind of did that, throwing, you know, all these committees, because to different parties, even if they could have all given them to their party as the leading party. So they have to do that, and they have to make sure that, you know, they exercise leadership among the opposition, and I'm sure they will come up with that. The leader of opposition, whoever it is that is chosen, should be in position to do that. And because they have, you know, quite a number of MPs actually. They have the biggest number of opposition MPs that there's been from one party. So so it shouldn't be a problem. However, it's all going to depend on whom they select as the leader of opposition, and what kind of factors they are. Because what he's saying, building consensus, although I don't really agree that's what Museveni does, but what he's saying now in this case
makes a lot of sense.
Yes, because you don't have you have positions to give out, that's it. You don't have, you know, government money to give out. You don't have COVID funds.
His positions
you don't have, you know, this budget per diem to give out. So it is now about really building consensus. Because how do I talk to Andrew Chamagero when he's an MP, let's say from FDC, and I'm the leader of opposition, let's say from NOP, and I have a little to give him. We have to pull in the same direction, because I'm not the president. I'm not going to say there's this ministerial post or this and so on. Classified budgets, we can, you know, give you a slice of. So that shouldn't be a problem, because I think the opposition has so far navigated a lot of the things properly. But it is all going to be down in the allocation of positions.
And the consensus.
On the consensus of the allocation of key positions. In key committees, which have been reserved for the opposition.
Nice.
And that will help a lot in telling how far this.
That is His Excellency Joseph Kabuleta. Honorable Mike Sebalu, what do you make of this parliament? It's young, it's vibrant. The other day saw your chairman saying that the youth are the motor of this country to gain momentum. And here they are. What do you make of the parliament?
It is going to be an interesting parliament. And like it has always been indicated, Uganda has the youngest parliament in the world. Previously, this one is even much younger. So it is going to be quite an interesting parliament. But it has newcomers, many of whom may not have had a good background in leadership or even administrative. Some of them may come with the mindset of activism, which may not be very sustainable in a setting like that. What I really want them to do is to be ready, available, and willing to learn. You know, when you come with the superiority complex, or when you come with the defiance, you may miss out, because at the end of the day, as a country, we want them to develop into good leaders, regardless where they are, because we want good leaders in the ruling party. Likewise, we want good and competent leaders in the opposition. So that should be something. But some of them may come with the notion of we have our position, we came by ourselves, we have been here. We have been here. That may be a disadvantage. We have a parliamentary institute. They should take good advantage of it, and they should be able and polite enough to learn from those that they have found there, that those have been there. They can also learn from people who are no longer in the parliament. There are like very many seasoned people out there who were really people like very many honorable members in private life, in civic life. But also something that now will play into the dynamics of the opposition. He's alluded to it, building consensus. Because there is a tendency, even within opposition to have classes. We are the real opposition. We are the opposition. We have been in the struggle. We've been in the struggle. Where were you when you were? So if they play that, then it may create a problem, because at 60 there are many but they are not many enough to have any impact in terms of making the government accountable, in terms of checking government. They are taking over all the accountability committees, PAC, government assurance, here they're part of the appointments committee, local government, all the accountability offices and the committees are managed by, but those committees are also very attractive. They can easily,
but let me also say the same thing to the NRM.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you something.
Because these committees are specifically
for the opposition.
But let me tell you something.
Especially the leadership.
The youth problem, if you call it a problem, is also going to be so much of an issue in the NRM, because I was just interesting myself in some of the things which were taking place with the new MPs in Chankwanzi, and I was seeing how youthful they are and how different people. Now, the first was a bit interesting seeing someone like Jim Mwezi there as a new MP, having been around for so long, and then he's with very young people, and then the ideas that they bring, and even the activism that he talks about, they actually have a bit of that, and do not be surprised if some NRM MPs turn out to have as activists against NRM, because we've seen that before. Because you see the one thing about youth and that you can never take away is activism. And the way they are convinced about the things they are convinced about and the way they want to see change. And I was seeing even there the president was struggling to manage the expectations, kind of like to dampen them. And this is what they do. The seniors, rather than tapping into that enthusiasm and kind of using it to tell these people we can make these and these changes, they try to dampen it and tell them, no, you people are just young, idealistic. This is not how things are done.
This is not feasible.
This is not possible, and from the seniors and so on. And they have constituencies where they were voted from because of their youth, because also those constituencies have a lot of youth. So now reaching there and telling them that, no, learn from us, the seniors. Go slow. It's not going to work for them in the long run, even for the NRM MPs.
No, thank you, Joseph. What I'm saying is clear, because that is going to be the generational dynamics are there.
How is NRM balancing
you can't rule it out. Even in NRM, definitely we have to engage. You have to engage on a continuous basis. The young people, to be able to integrate them into the big picture.
What if the resistance comes from within the NRM?
A resistance.
The resistance, the activism of the youth within the party, they just come and they say, no, we're not going to allow to that. How is NRM prepared on that?
No, NRM is very prepared, because these young people from NRM, and many of them have been encouraged and empowered by the party to take up leadership, and many of them have been in different processes and activities of the party. These are cadres along the way. There are some newcomers, but at the end of the day, one thing you need to do, whichever party, you need to listen to them with a view of understanding them, not necessarily giving them quick answers. Understand where they are coming from, then integrate them within your party ideological arrangements. And it is not an event, something that will be done in a day.
A process.
It is a process. Continuous engagement is going to be important, even in the opposition. You have young people who may reach there and they're like, now I'm in parliament.
It is my time.
Forget about the struggle. Now I'm here. And they have their orientation.
Thank you, Honorable.
So all parties should engage.
My colleague Habib Ziwa joins me from the parliament this early morning. Habib Ziwa, what is the situation like? What are the expectations, and what do you hope to see this time you didn't see the previous one?
Thank you very much, Andrew Chamagero, and the viewers wherever you're watching from. Indeed, we're here at Parliament. It is the first day of the swearing in of the new members of the 11th Parliament, and 132 of them are expected today. They are coming in alphabetical order. That means from letter A up to letter Z. Behind me is the podium where they are going to swear from. It has the national flag and the East African flag. Those you're seeing behind officers are from the office of the Sergeant at Arms, the clerk's office, and also protocol officers here at Parliament, who are ensuring that the swearing in of the members goes on smoothly. At the entrance, it is manned by security. It is only the MP and 3 other people who are allowed inside here. The street, that is Parliamentary Avenue, is so clean. Only vehicles of the MPs and people who are accompanying them are allowed to come and access Parliament. Many of them have already come in. They take 2 oaths. One is the oath of allegiance to the Constitution of Uganda, and another one is about the commitment they make to the Parliament of Uganda and its activities. A member of Parliament is expected to do majorly 4 roles. One is representation, the second one is appropriation, oversight, and also in the budgeting process. Those are the specific roles of members of Parliament. They're expected to do them in the next 5 years. But I want to sample a few of them and get their opinion on why they are here and what they expect. Honorable, you're here for the first time. This is your first time in Parliament. What should the people of Kitgum expect from you?
Well, I am very excited. This is a long-awaited day, and indeed, it's the beginning of everything. So, what the Kitgum people should expect from me is that I will now get ready to start handling my manifesto one by one from today, because it's the day that you formally become a member of Parliament. So all big things, all the big plans, all begins today.
Anybody's up here?
Well, we'll organize in Kitgum. For today, it's just a small dinner at home.
All right. That is Honorable Lillian Abel. She's coming in for the first time as a woman member of Parliament for Kitgum District. But also I want us to speak to the Honorable Minister of State for Fisheries, that is Helen Adoa, the woman MP for Serere District. You're coming in for your second term in Parliament. What should the people of Serere expect from you, what you've not done in the last 5 years?
For the last 5 years, I have done a lot on health and education. Now I'm going to consolidate on parish to parish, which I told them during my campaigns. I'm going to reach every parish with development in all aspects of life, especially health, education, the groups per parish, women, youth, and men. Want to see them change using the land, government land of the parish. It is idle, and I want them to develop that land for the good of the parish.
Looking at the poverty index from Bukede, Karamoja, and Teso, those are the most poorest parts of the country we're having. You're now a former minister, but maybe you can be brought back as a Minister of Fisheries, but also in your capacity as a Member of Parliament. What are the things you want to do to ensure that the people are lifted from the poverty they are in terms of agriculture?
Under agriculture, His Excellency has already said, these 5 years, the war we have is on agriculture. We want to change the country through agriculture. And on my docket, what we're going to do is to make sure that we don't concentrate on the catch fish, which is a lake fish. We want to grow fish. We want, whether in Karamoja, whether in Bukedi, whether in Teso, where there are no lakes, we want to grow fish to change the environment using the local schools.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the former Minister of Fisheries and also the woman Member of Parliament for that is Serere District. I'm happy to take you through among the people who are swearing in today. From letter A, the first person who is going to be sworn in today is Honorable Jessica Ababiko, the woman Member of Parliament for Ajuman District. Other people who are coming in today, we have Alitwala Kadaka Rebecca, the outgoing Speaker of Parliament. We have the outgoing Minister of State for Finance and Planning, David Bahati. We have the new Member of Parliament for Lila City, that is Honorable Jane Ruth Acheng. Those are people who are, some of the names of people who are coming in here today to be sworn in. So we will keep you updated on how this function goes on for the next 4 days from today up to Thursday, as the 527 members of Parliament of the 11th Parliament come here to Parliament to take their oath to serve their respective constituencies in the 11th Parliament. Back to you, Chamagelo in the studios.
So much, Habit Zua. That is really, I'm very impressed. They are very early today, and whoever did the decoration really took the time. Previously, we would start at around 11 or 10. But thank you so much, Habit Zua. Samira Kara on Twitter says police has surrounded the roads around Parliament premises will not be accessible for 4 days starting today. Chivatu Kola, we have to go all around. Nayekali, Mwala Yidde. That's what she says. Someone here says, thank you so much, my President Kabuleta. Indeed, micromanagement is something we need to fight against. Then someone here says, is Honorable Sebalu in Uganda? Because he's not on ground. He's not seeing what the chairman is doing. Well, those opinions on Twitter. Gentlemen, before we come back to the conversation, I want to talk to my colleague, Ivan Kamana Wadunyolo. Will be talking to the locals about this very same issue in the side of Entebbe. But for now, let's take a break and we'll be back shortly.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Baby Junior Jelly is our friend. It's very soft like mommy's love.
It prevents babies from skin rashes. It soothes them all the time. Baby Junior Jelly, Jelly. Baby Junior Jelly is
My babies love Baby Junior Jelly and Baby Junior Soap. Soon after bathing them, with no minutes, their siblings have already handed me the jelly to smear their toddlers. It has an amazing scent, it smoothens their skins, it prevents diaper rash, and it is good on dry and sensitive skin.
Is a Love It product.
Makerere University Senate and Council wishes to announce the 71st graduation ceremony, which will begin from Monday 17th May 2021 to Friday 21st May 2021 from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. The ceremony will be conducted following government guidelines against the spread of COVID-19. All parents, guardian spouses, and friends are advised to follow the graduation ceremony on NTV, UBC Radio, and virtually on Makerere University social media pages, Facebook at Makerere, Twitter at Makerere, YouTube at Makerere U. Only PhD, master's degrees, and first-class honors degrees graduates have been allowed to be physically present. The rest of the graduates will graduate virtually. The Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Janet Kata Museveni, will be the guest of honor. The order for graduation will be as follows.
On the next episode is brought to you by... On the next episode...
I saw Arturo before my wedding. But no, I didn't sleep with him.
Oh my goodness.
That is the truth.
No.
Why don't you believe
Because
me?
I don't know for sure, my dear.
What's going on?
Your grandfather is going to live with us.
No.
What's the matter?
Your father instructed Eric to leave to do a certain project.
And are you gonna go with him?
Your brother doesn't want me to go with him. He doesn't want me to go near... He doesn't believe the explanation I gave him about my past.
Arturo Montenegro had better be careful because I'm going to make him dearly.
Kabuleta the solution, reclaiming the nation. It's Saga Zone, we'll tell you this. We're rocking this nation It's a papa tsunami.
It's sweeping across the nation. It's setting everyone in motion. Yeah. People looking for solutions. Saying we are claiming the country. It's sweeping across the nation. It's setting everyone in motion. Yeah. People looking for solutions. Saying we are reclaiming the country again.
Look in this nation from the bottom.
Conference Center. I'm Andrew Chamagero. My colleague Ivan Kamana Warunyolo in Entebbe. What is the community talking about this heated debate of the speaker race?
Well, a very good morning to you, Andrew Chamagero, and our audience. I am coming to you from the streets of Nkumba, here, the junction, which of course goes to the Nkumba University, and this side goes to Buli at the express highway here. We know very well that the members of parliament, of course, have started taking an oath for a 5-year mandate given or elected by the people they represent. But of course, Entebbe as well. The member of parliament elect for Entebbe, who is Michael Kakembo, will also be taking an oath tomorrow to implement the mandate that he has been given by the people of Entebbe to take them for 5 years. But of course, as he takes his steps, I am joined by him this beautiful morning on the streets to let us know what this mandate means. What does an oath that he will take tomorrow mean to him as he leads the people of Entebbe into a city? Michael Kakembo, welcome with me on Morning at NTV.
Good morning, Ivan, and good morning, viewers.
Yeah.
Michael Kakembo, and my name is, yes.
You are taking an oath to office tomorrow. You are going to implement a 5-year mandate. What does this mean to you?
Well, it is great. It's fun. It's my first time to be in Parliament. I feel so humbled and honored to be part of this 11th Parliament. Tomorrow I'll be swearing in at around between 10 and 11, and thereafter we shall come home for a Thanksgiving Mass. And then I thank my people. We shall have fun. We're going to enjoy almost all day.
What are some of the key things? We understand you've been doing a survey that you want to legislate for Entebbe as far as how you're going to this parliament.
Okay. Entebbe, we have a lot of things that should be done. We have the infrastructure is not enough. The roads are bad. We need too much money. We need to allocate more money for Entebbe Municipal Council. And now we are going into a city. Entebbe needs money. I told you last time Entebbe deserves better. Entebbe is the gateway. So we need each and everything good for Entebbe. Because Entebbe is for all members of parliament. Each member of parliament, whether you're coming from Piripiri, whether Jinja, Masaka, Mbarara, you need Entebbe.
Yeah.
If Entebbe is good, the member of parliament for Kasese is also happy. Because this is where they pass through when they are going abroad. Yeah. And all our visitors pass through Entebbe. So Entebbe being a gateway, I believe most of my friends, the colleagues in the parliament, will support me. On the floor of parliament, we need more money for the road. We need the security. We need a road to connect to Nachogo. I told you about that one. We are going to legislate for it. Entebbe Airport needs an emergency exit. So we need Buku, Chigungu, Chitoro Road to be done. First class tarmac for people of Entebbe and those traveling abroad and inside to be safe.
But you are going to work in an environment which is NRM. It has been NRM for the previous seat, NRM with the State House. You are National Unity Platform. How are you going to make sure that you unite all these so that you fight or you struggle for a common cause?
Well, what I believe, NRM, NUP, ADP, FDC, those are politics that stays outside the parliament. Inside the parliament, it is the people of Uganda first. I believe whatever I bring on board that serves the interest of our people, it is okay. Because for a road, for example, it's not only for NUP. NRM use it, DP use it, FDC and others. So I believe when you bring up something good for all of us, it will be supported. Because in the parliament, that's what I was talking to the speaker. I was like, I am going to be a speaker of parliament. When you are here, you are one. I don't look at you as DP, as NUP, as NRM. So whatever you bring on board, we shall support it for the interest of Uganda. If the parliament is like that, I'm so happy that we shall move on.
Yeah, Honorable, make us understanding as far as how you're starting your term of office. You are going to be given a mandate tomorrow. Have you as politicians tried to sort out the issue of you being divided? Because that's one of the major reasons that Entebbe has partly not been serving the people, the political divides that you've had. Have you? Yes.
I'm going to be the father of Entebbe politics now. Politics has ended. We're going to work. That's why when I was inviting people to come tomorrow for the mass, NRM is there, DP is there, the Kayanjas, I invited them, Lulida invited him, Motebi, I invited him. I feel if these people come tomorrow, it will begin from my home to reconcile. Politics is over, let us unite, let us work together for the good of the people of Entebbe. Well, and I believe people should understand that. Politics is just a game. It is over now. Let us work together for the interest of the people.
Wow, thank you very much for talking to us, Michael Kakembo.
I am so humbled and I remain so.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Omuntu wa wansi Michael Kakembo naye gye buvuddeko yagambye nti yatandise kati okubeera omuntu wa wansi era wakulwanirira abantu ba wansi kyobola b'ensonga zagamba zisinga kwekuusa ku bantu ba wansi. Ekibiina ky'abantu ba wansi waawo tulowooza nti kigenda kula mu namba wane eno mu Ntebe naye what is more important is when a leader starts to fight for the interests of a common man, the vendor who is on the streets and the other people who are doing these other day-to-day survival businesses to see that they exist for today and tomorrow. Michael Kakembo will be given mandate officially when he takes an oath to take over office tomorrow, and we wait to see what will come, of course, after his swearing in and what he puts on table for the people of Entebbe. Omuntu wa wansi nkomawo gy'oli mu studio yo morning at NTV yeyongereyo kubeera nti egenda mu maaso. Good morning.
Ivan Kamana Walnyolo in Entebbe. The same discussion we are having, it's about leadership. Let me bring this. Your Excellency, Joseph Kabuleta, you've seen John Patrick Amama Mbabazi back. He's making meetings, he's meeting at people at his Lakeside house and all this, and he's still working with the NRM cadres in one way or the other. What signals do you read from that kind of gesture?
I think from so many people whom I've heard from, he's really now running a lot of shots. I think they got over the differences of 2016, and I think he learned a bit of humility at the time, and he was taught humility. And so now he came back in a different manner. Now he's running a lot of things happening at the NRM behind the scenes. And I've seen a bit of people who had kind of come out strong and dismissed him and so on, losing ground. And some of them have lost powerful positions and so on because they made the mistake of discounting him when he had that issue with the big man. So he's back. He's back. What position, whether he's going to be given an official position is something to be, seen, but in every way and possible. He is back as the, the wheeler dealer behind, and he's good at that. The politics of going ahead, speaking to people, getting votes, that's not his thing. His thing is sitting behind here and,
invisible and.
Invisible. I didn't say that.
I said it.
But that's his thing, where he actually can influence so many things without having his face right there. And that's it. And that's his power. And the truth is, the NRM party was stronger with him there.
Oh yes,
that's the honest truth. And they were without him. They were still
intrigue is heavy.
Yeah, and that time he knew how to galvanize everybody. He had the iron fist hand and what, and he did not have the burden of having to go and face an electorate.
Oh yes.
Across the country. Now that's one thing that I mean, even in Kinkizi he was really
yes.
He's very unpopular there. So, but he was doing his work here. So now, I think he's here because perhaps I think of some form of transition.
Should we expect a transition like Mr. Kabuleta alludes to? John Patrick Amama Mbabazi bounces back. And before you answer that, we have seen very many people trekking to Gulu to meet General Salim Saleh. Is this where the power lies? But before you respond to that, what you can see on screen, members of parliament have started to swear in today, and this is a process that's going to take the entire week. So listen and watch, and NTV will be bringing you these images as and when they are happening. Honorable Sibalu.
Yeah, I think there are two things we need to appreciate here. Influence is the most important thing in leadership. There are people who have offices but have no influence.
True.
And there are people without any office but with great influence.
You've given birth to Sipapa.
Even in the villages, when you want to stand, people say, okay, you have good ideas, but have you talked to Mr. So and so?
Yeah, yes.
How is so and so?
Those are kingmakers.
Kingmakers. So we have people like that. And I want to say that, for instance, General Salim Saleh. He has influence. You can't discount
Yes,
him.
yes, true.
He doesn't need any office in order to generate influence over matters of public interest. You find even people with the offices going to him to build influence from him. You hear people who are like,
but is that how it should be done?
No. But those are leaders. I'm just giving you the notion of leadership because there are different ways. If you can do and you don't have influence, but when you associate with someone with influence,
you become influential.
And with the time you build the confidence and the capacity and the self-esteem, and you get there. So there are those kind of people around. But the most important thing I want to say about Honorable Mbabas is that I really appreciate the way he managed his post.
As Secretary General?
Yeah. No. The way he managed the post-election period. You know, the elections were done. He was dissatisfied with it. He went to court. Court made a verdict. He respected it, and he withdrew, and he led his life, and he didn't go into secondary wars. That is very important. How you manage even disappointment.
You're talking to Kabuleta.
How you manage success, how you manage disappointments determines what kind of a leader you are. You know, when you are excited, don't make statements, don't make promises. Even when you are extremely disappointed, don't make statements because you can easily go either way of the extreme. So he really managed himself well. And one thing for sure is that he's a strategic leader in the NRM.
That's true.
His departure temporarily was was an issue.
Up to now,
he was missed. You know, when you're a leader, while you are away, if people don't miss you, or if people don't remember you, then you are irrelevant. But if you're a leader, if you are in an office and you are away for some time, and people like the days of Kabuleta, when Kabuleta was here, then you know you left some impact.
Legacy.
And that is the kind of person. You can't discount him.
Yes. Mr. Kabuleta, last word?
My last word. Here's the thing. The next 5 years are going to be very tough for ordinary Ugandans. Just know that. We've seen what has been happening, a bit of what has been happening. Now, while we talk about a youthful population and you know, an aging leadership, the truth is the way this president sees it, this is my opinion, is there are three categories. There is the category of the peasantry, which keeps at about 68 to 70%.
You've used the word keeps?
Yes, keeps, because they are the ones who keep him in power. Because in which they are angry and disgruntled, they are very appeasable. They are the kind who will vote, give a vote to him for 5,000 shillings, or for a hoe, or for a sewing machine, or for things like that. So he keeps that percentage there because they are the ones which keep him in power. Then above them, there is the middle class, which includes most of us, who are the ones who are the beasts of burden in regard to tax. We are the ones who are overtaxed, and they will go into every safe space that we have and overtax it and so on. You saw rental income, they give people enough time to build and to start earning from rent, and they give you time, and then they come for it, and they come at 25%, which is a very punitive tax. So and so on. So it's also the business people and all that. It is going to be very hard for them because the taxes have to be collected, and they have to be collected from a very small segment of people. Now, during my campaign, I talked about expanding the tax base. Honorable Kasaija took up the rhetoric, but he cannot put it in practice because these people keep them in power. So it's going to be a squeezing of the middle class. Then above the people who have influence without positions. And I was told, people are saying people are rushing to go to see Honorable Salim Saleh, and I was told by somebody from Guru, a politician from Guru, that we don't want him there because he's buying all the land. They have made people poor. This is our opinion. They have made people poor, and now he's buying all the land. And now that is what is going to happen for the top people I call the royal family. It is going to be about, because the next 5 years, if they complete them in power, is going to be about getting all the national resources. That's when all the oil deals are being made, all the mining deals are being made. That's when every national resource is going to be determined, the policies thereof. So now, so it's going to be a bit of austerity.
Mr. Kabuleta, we cannot have this entire conversation and we get done with it. But my colleague Ivan Stephen Mbide, Stephen Mbide is at Makerere University to give us of what is currently happening there. Please note, this week we are having graduations and swearing in ceremony. Mbide.
Yes, indeed. Andrew Chamagero, what's happening here at the Makerere University is that graduates are still entering the Freedom Square, and in time from now, the Chancellor of Makerere University will be getting out of the Makerere main hall or administration building there, and will be received by the School of Performing Arts students here who are ready also to lead the procession towards the Freedom Square. But there, before you can access the rest of the Freedom Square, you have to be thoroughly checked for all the requisite documents that show that you're one of the graduates who are supposed to be attending this physical graduation. Others will be just watching it live here on NTV, because this is also a virtual graduation that is taking place today, from today up to Thursday. I've seen many coming from your area, your field of school performing arts, also joining other fields. How does it feel for you, who are, of course, impacting the skills in these young ones, but also go there, they shine, and then they bring pride to you as the lecturers?
Oh yeah, that's really a privilege for us, because the department, the programs in performing arts and film are not only training performers, but they train skilled people who are communicators, who are social relations people, who are also people involved in giving interventions in social development, using the tools in music, dance, drama, and film.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. One last word to all those who would like to also join the School of Performing Arts.
Oh yeah, everyone is welcome. In fact, we do not have a requirement to join at the bachelor's level. As long as you have the requirements of the university, you can actually join the department. But we also have diploma programs where we will have a pre-entry exams, and to determine how we can train you. Please watch the space. We shall be advertising soon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nanyonga. Those are some of her students here, those coming from School of Performing Arts. They are there entertaining and waiting to receive the Chancellor, as well as the deans of different faculties. But let me also speak to some of these graduates. I know they are walking away with a master's degree, each one of these ones, because at least you must have passed highly to be able to attend this physical graduation, because others are just watching you on TV. How does it feel for you, and good morning to you?
Good morning to you. My name is Ansimba Sheila, and I'm going to be attaining a Master's of Science degree in Clinical Epidemiology and Biostatistics. This day is very, very exciting. We looked forward to it, even with the COVID pandemic, but we've strived through, we've pushed to make sure we've hit our deadlines and be able to be on the list of graduation. The journey has not been smooth, but it has been very enjoyable. So we are very excited. Yes.
You're talking about COVID-19 and your course. How is it relevant for this situation that we are dealing with?
Well, our course, Clinical Epidemiology, looks at disease patterns. We can study disease patterns. We can tell the prevalence of disease, that is like the number of people who are affected by the disease. Then we can analyze the data. When we look at this data, we can tell you maybe we need to have a lockdown, something like that, to help impact on reducing the spread of the disease. So we are very essential in this time.
Thank you so much, and good morning to you. And what's your name, and which course are you graduating in which course have you been offering here at university, and also how does it feel for you walking this journey up this day?
Thank you very much. My name is Otike Caroline. I will be graduating with a Master's of Science degree in Clinical Epidemiology and Biostatistics, and I am very excited. I've been looking forward to this day. I must say attaining this degree is a very great achievement for me and for the country, because when you do this course, like my friend said, we are able to study the disease patterns. We are health researchers and we analyze health data. So in a case like this, where we have the COVID-19 pandemic, we are very essential in planning and monitoring the COVID response. We are able to track cases and also come up with the vaccines. Actually, the vaccines are developed by epidemiologists. Okay. Yes, and also we are currently testing treatment.
And so much more. Are you having a luncheon or a party, a dinner?
Oh, yes, we are. In our class, we also manage to create very great relations with our tutors and the students. So today we are having a class lunch.
Okay. I'll be invited. I should be invited for that lunch. And everyone from NTV is wishing you a happy graduation. Of course, the rest of your career, we wish you all the best. This is what's happening here at Makerere University. I shall be letting you know much more. Of course, we're going to be streaming this live on our social media platforms. That's also on NTV. We're going to be live from here at Makerere University as they go ahead with their graduation. Stephen Imbido from First Chibuga, wishing you the best of this week and handing you back to see because this is, of course, is morning at NTV. We thank you so much for being a part of us from 6:30 a.m. Andrew Chamagero is opening up at 6:30, and I'll be with you here on the ground to give you whatever is happening here. Have a blessed day.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah.
Kabuleta the solution, reclaiming the nation. It's Saga Zone, we tell you this. Rocking this nation, from the bottom to the top. Rocking this nation, from the bottom to the top. It's a dead of the repo, them became a wave, brewing to a storm, not a papa tsunami.
Kabuleta for Uganda. You rock 'cause we rock, we building on the rock. No tongues and the sauce. Uganda for Ugandans. Kabuleta for Ugandans. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. It is a revolution, providing a solution from the bottom to the top. We're going on a journey, yeah, yeah, yeah. To the top, yeah. To the top, yeah, yeah.
Kabuleta, providing a solution. The sing and say, Kabuleta. For Uganda, tell them say, Kabuleta. Finance or solution, me tell you this, Kabuleta. For Uganda is juggernaut.
Been across the nation, setting everyone in motion, yeah. People looking for solutions, saying we are reclaiming our country again. Rebels be from the national liberation, rocking this nation, yeah. We going for rocking this Uganda for Uganda, up for Uganda.
From the bottom to the top. Welcome to the Rock Nation.
Where wealth belongs to a certain select few, very, very few. So few they can fit in one room. And the rest of Ugandans are just supposed to, to survive and not to thrive. So that's what we are trying to break. We are trying to break the suppression, the oppression that is financial, and liberating people financially to go and thrive, to go and be a partakers of the natural resources that are theirs by right, and not to be observers even as the national cake is being distributed, or not to see figures of growth apparently attributed to our country flying out of budget speeches and so on, without it having any impact on their wallets. Now that is what we want to change. We want any growth that this country enjoys, and we are going into a very good period in regard to growth. We want it to be a force to reckon with in the pockets of every Ugandan.
Joseph, you are talking about wealth distribution. Look, you are a man who can afford a very expensive suit, a very nice car, and a few other things one might say, that you belong to the small group of the people who hold wealth, as you put it. And is that a creation of the state or government that is serving you, or it was your own creation, and why do you want to change that?
Of course, it's not a creation of the government. If we had a more inclusive government, you wouldn't be able, I mean, you wouldn't even be reduced to describing wealth as a suit. How much does a suit cost? We're talking about real wealth, because we're talking about real wealth. So somebody having a car, driving a suit, or rather driving a car, having a suit, and things like that, and you think that is wealth, that is how far this government has suppressed us, that we actually even consider a suit to be wealth. Now, we are talking about a very rich country, which is rich in all sorts of resources. And now, the corporate people, or people who, they're counting their wealth in the number of suits they have in the wardrobe. That is really sad. And actually, that's exactly what I have come to change, so that we get to a point where our wealth is real wealth, not virtual wealth. You can come out and look smart and look nice, and yet actually you are sitting on a whole load of problems at home, and but you just have to keep up appearances. Now we want to change that.